Captain on the bridge.
Alright, Captains, we are back here on the bridge, and today, yes, well, you've already seen the actual thumbnail, so I think we know why we're here. But before we get into this video, do us a huge favor and hit the like button to help the video, help the channel out, but also if you're new here, well, welcome. Consider subscribing here to the YouTube bridge. We're always on the lookout for like-minded captains to share our love, passion for Star Trek, but also things Star Trek Online related. But with that said, here we go. Yes, Captains, is Kirk coming back? Right? We don't know. But could we see him one last time? And hence why we have that title on the actual thumbnail. Now, a couple months back, like 3 months ago, we covered this on the channel, and it was Kirk's final appearance in Project Unification. And I said it then that this video is something I did not know we needed, or I needed. We needed. And a lot of captains actually felt the same way. And it felt like a great closure, to be honest with you. Seeing him back though, and this is coming from someone who isn't really a huge Kirk fan. I don't mean that to offend anyone. I grew up in the TNG era. I grew up with Picard. And I actually saw him in the TMP era when the Star Trek movies were coming out when I was young. So that's in terms of order. Well, yeah, Picard's first, then Kirk second. And this video though was really well done, and it felt like a great closure. Now, the reason why I have that question on the thumbnail is a couple of things. First, we're going to go to this article here, and this is from Trek Movie. This is not the article that inspired this video. We're going to get to that in a bit. So this was from last April 1st, 2023. So here it says, Terry Matalas explains the return of James T. Kirk on Star Trek Picard. Because we did see this image on the episode Bounty. Why? Because, well, it says here, we'll read it here. One of the items stored at Daystrom Station in the Star Trek episode, or Picard episode, The Bounty, has fans buzzing and speculating now. Showrunner Terry Matalas explains why they included the body of James T. Kirk in the collection and what it could mean for the future. So could have this been a start of what we saw 3 months ago with the Project Unification, and what we're going to be getting into? Possibly. So we'll read this a little bit here. So Kirk's body is ready for a return, but not on Picard. So Terry Matalas beamed in remotely to panel held at GalaxyCon, hosted, and again, this is 2 years ago, which they released as their latest podcast episode. The discussion covered each of the individual films of the Star Trek franchise, and when they were talking about Star Trek Generations and the death of James T. Kirk, we know he died in that movie. Matalas chimed in on how this inspired him to update Kirk's story. Look, it's not how I would have sent Kirk off, clearly, because I just put his body in the Daystrom Station. Of course, we know after teaming up to help Jean-Luc Picard, James T. Kirk was killed by Soren in Generations. Kirk's body was buried by Picard on Viridian 3 under a pile of rocks. That was the last known location of Kirk's body until the Bounty. Since seeing Kirk's body in Daystrom Station, many fans thought it was foreshadowing his potential return later on in the season. When you look very closely at display of Kirk's body, there was a mention of something called Project Phoenix. Now remember, this was 2 years ago, which some interpreted as a clue. When pressed by Altman to explain why they added Kirk to the story, Matalas dashed any hopes of seeing Kirk on the show, other than this screen here. Look, Kirk is dead. We figured, is his body really just under a pile of rocks on that planet? We're not committed. We're not saying he is resurrected. Regardless, canon-wise, his body is in Daystrom Station, at least in Star Trek Picard. Matalas did say he feels bringing Kirk's body back to Daystrom could set up a story of Kirk's return in a future Star Trek. Keep that in mind again. It is a tip of the hat to The Return, which is a wonderful book I recommend it to all of you. Maybe we just leave it open that someday some brilliant writer could do something. That could be in an animated thing. That could be anything. It's just to keep, as my friend Spock is fond of saying, there are always possibilities. That was the idea behind that. So Matalas mentioned The Return, a 1996 Star Trek novel written by William Shatner with Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. The story picks up after Generations, when the Romulans and Borg retrieve Kirk's body from Meridian 3 and resurrect him using Borg technology and the Guardian of Forever. I never knew about this, to be honest with you. They want to use Kirk as a weapon to take on Jean-Luc Picard, but Spock eventually breaks Kirk from his brainwashing, and the character lives on, has a number of new adventures through a series of novels over the next decade, ending with 2006's Captain's Glory. Now, if I'm not mistaken, let me know in the comments below, when it comes to books, they're like kind of beta canon. So it's not really canon, on-screen canon. But there have been great stories told through the novels. I never knew of this. I love that plot, to be honest with you. Him being a Borg, like Picard was a Borg, that'd be great. But we'll continue on here. So during this time, Shatner even weighed in himself, so all the buzz about the body showing up on Picard has caught the attention of the original Kirk himself. Today on Twitter, he posted about it, referencing Project Phoenix with the question, where is Kirk? He took now Kirk was buried under rocks on Meridian 3, only to be found behind a panel on Daystrom Station to create a rock, paper, scissors joke turning into rock panel station. So here it is. I guess we know where the disappearing as Star Trek captain went. It's like the old game of rock, paper, scissors. It's now rock panel station. So Project Phoenix, question mark, where's Kirk? I guess that's all in April Fools. We have a wonderful weekend. It looks like fans can stand down for now when it comes to expecting the return of James T. Kirk for this season of Picard, which, of course, we now know that is all the reference of Kirk we had on Picard. But Matalas and his team have set things up for a future Star Trek show or movie to find a way for Kirk's return. The third and final season of Picard premiered on Thursday, February 16, 2023, which is hard to believe that was 2 years ago. And on February 17, Paramount Plus in Europe, elsewhere, the new episode's 10-episode long season available on stream. It is also debuted 15, blah, 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 blah. So that's that article there. That was 2 years ago. And then, of course, 3 months ago, we get this, which was awesome. Now we're going to go to what inspired me to do this video, which is this article right here. Okay, so William Shatner hints at a one more return to Star Trek as James T. Kirk. This was February 23, so this was last month. So I've been trying to get my thoughts together on how to do this video, because this channel is mostly dedicated to Star Trek Online, but here and there, like I said, we poke our heads into Star Trek because, yeah, this is the thing that we love. So we'll go on with this article here. So the idea of William Shatner returning to the role of James T. Kirk has been a hot topic since his version of the character was killed off in the 1994 film Star Trek Generations. There have been a variety of attempts to bring him back, but none have panned out. Even as he moved on into his 90s, the actor has made it clear that if the stars were to align, he is ready to return to the final frontier. Two things here. He's 90. Wow, that's crazy. Caps, that is absolutely crazy. But secondly, he is ready to return to the final frontier. And just this weekend, he indicated that there has been some discussion of just that. That's crazy. So Shatner expecting a new pitch. So William Shatner is in Vancouver, BC. Of course, this was back last month. But this weekend as his headlining guest of Fan Expo Vancouver. The direct staff member Jennifer reported from his panel that a 93-year-old actor had been contacted by a writer on one of Paramount's currently in development Star Trek series. Shatner is quoted as saying, "I have been asked to come back as Kirk so many times. If Kirk is going to come back, it has to mean something. It has to be the show. but I was so impressed by this writer, so I said, let's talk after I'm done in Vancouver. So I'm awaiting a pitch to make the show. It should come on Monday or Tuesday. Now again, this was last month. I have not seen any other article, at least in my feed. If you have, please put it in the comments below or point me in the right direction. I would love to cover that. But for me, this was just on my news feed, so I starred this and saved this for this video, or even waiting to see if there's anything to come of it. Now, having said that, could have this already been in the works from 2 years ago, like from this article? Maybe. But I mean, we already got this project Unification, right? Even this was great. But for a new return of Kirk, that is very, very interesting. So we'll keep going here. So what show could fit? The key word in the report is series. So it's not even a movie, just an actual, like a season type, so 10 episode or whatever. So if that isn't accurate, we are talking Star Trek TV on Paramount Plus, and not one of the various feature projects in development at Paramount Pictures. As of now, Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy are the only active series. A 4th season of Strange New Worlds is set to go in production within weeks, and the 2nd season of Starfleet Academy should go into production around mid-2025. The only show we know of that's in early stages of development and has not been greenlit yet is Justin Simon and Tawny Newsom's Trek comedy show, which takes place in the early 25th century, an era last seen in Picard Season 3. But there could be other shows being developed that are all still under wraps. Set in the 23rd century before the original Star Trek, Strange New Worlds already has a Kirk in Paul Wesley, but the show also shown it's willing to do all sorts of fun, timey-wimey things. So maybe young Kirk meets an old Kirk in Strange New Worlds Season 4. That'd be a thing. That would be a thing. They did such a good job with the de-aging technology with Kirk here, and as you've seen the thumbnail too as well. It works. It works. Works well enough for me, at least. So Starfleet Academy is set in the far future as seen in Discovery, in the 32nd century, I should say, and could avoid the time travel scenario altogether. An older and wiser Kirk could be a holographic training/teaching simulation, or even a de-aged Shatner to look more like, say, Kirk of the movie era could be on the table. There's also a tantalizing tease from Picard Season 3 of Kirk's remains being kept at Daystrom Station, where the display text had the name Project Phoenix. So again, Mattel set this up for this, it seems, and maybe it's something he kept in his back pocket that is just being resurrected here this year in 2025. Which of course certainly implies that a resurrected Kirk/clone of Kirk may be in the works by Section 31 in the early 25th century. This might lend support to the idea that the show he's referring to is the Newsom and Simon comedy show, since it's right era for Project Phoenix. But all of this is just speculation at the moment, and of course this is that famous panel scene there. So we'll keep going here. So Shatner has been approached before. It was rumored that Roberto Orci, and again, as of this video, unfortunately he has already passed away, so rip, rest in peace. And thank you for all the work you've done for Star Trek. So Roberto had a role for him in his unproduced third Kelvin timeline film. A scene was written for him, but never officially pitched, in Star Trek 2009, which you can read about more here. That may be something we can cover in the future. There were also discussions to bring Shatner back for Star Trek Enterprise, which would make sense. Shatner has been softening on the idea of returning to play Kirk, even without being specifically approached. As he told USA Today back in 2021, we've also seen him pontificate on the idea of returning in a DH form, first mentioning the idea back in 2018. And he recently gave his approval to use his likeness at various ages as Kirk for the Roddenberry's Archives movie short film Unification, which again, great film. And of course, be sure to check back to Trek Movie for updates on this developing story. So again, since this, I have not seen anything else. Now, going back to this, Project Unification, I will say again, it's something that I didn't know I needed. Because of where we are in Trek today, and what I mean by that is, for the most part, a lot of the actors that we have, especially from the TMP, have already passed away. We have so few remaining. We only have Chekhov, of course, Sulu, and Kirk. I want them more in Star Trek projects, to be honest with you. A lot of the Star Trek fandom base is from people from my generation and the previous generation. Picard to me proved that they can give us fans what we want. This video, the Unification video, proves that they can give the Kirk's fan of that generation what they want, and even me personally, because this was really well done in my opinion. I really do hope that this is something that could happen. Now for me, on this channel, because we cover a lot of Star Trek Online and we play that game, this could possibly even be great for Star Trek Online if we can get him in Star Trek Online somehow, some way. I don't know. I mean, that's a dream of mine, more so when it comes to Picard, to be honest with you. But if there's a chance to have Kirk back, I'm for it. If they do it in the spirit of how they did Unification. What do I mean by that? No fancy, flashy returns, just simple Star Trek storytelling. Making it about Kirk. Fine, do that. I'm okay with that. I would love nothing more than the Star Trek as general, in whole, to keep moving forward, to keep getting better as a franchise. Why not? Why not take advantage of the fact that there's an opportunity here? One, Shatner is willing. Two, someone's already pitched a story, an idea. There is a story for him to return. That will just boost the morale of the community, in my opinion. Especially with all the negative stuff, at least I've seen when it comes to recent Trek. For me, Discovery I wasn't a big fan of, but because of Discovery, it has opened so much for Star Trek and even Star Trek Online. And that's kind of where my hope lies, that this is something that happens. So I'm really, really hoping something does come out of it. And again, I was kind of waiting for news because it seems like they were going to talk after that little Vancouver trip a couple weeks ago. And if we hear something that it's actually greenlit, oh, I will be for it. Now, again, it's going to depend how they do it. It doesn't have to be flashy. It just has to make sense. It just has to be done with the same care and love that this Unification video was done. So, and again, I say this to say this Unification video was something I didn't know I needed. And if they can give us this moment, another moment like this, or how they did Picard for me, season 3 at least, I'm for it. To give those positive vibes, because if you look at the comment section of this video, which I'll put in the link description and or probably the end card, there's a lot of positive comments there. And I think with how they did Picard in this, people who are up in the higher ups in Star Trek have to realize what works. The new Discovery flashy stuff, not so much. The featuring and honoring of the old guard, I think that's where it is. Especially now, as we still have them with us. So, I know I've been ranting here. I do these videos because I'm passionate about it, because I want these things to happen. I want to have a discussion about it here. So, in the comments below. Let us know, captains, how you would feel about Kirk returning. Me, personally, I'm for it. I would also still want more Picard to come back, to be honest with you, especially them showing up in Star Trek Online. But I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments below. With that said, any more news that come out of this, we will try to cover. Comment below to see if you know anything. Let me know, and I may even do a follow-up video on that if I missed it. Of course, another favor that we'll ask of you is hit the like button. And again, if you're new here, again, welcome. Thank you for stopping by here at the channel. Consider subscribing here to what I call the YouTube bridge. And until the next video, when it comes to this, we'll leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.